but this is just a reminder that this meeting is being recorded.
I'll take attendance.
Yep, through the call to order.
Okay. Claremont,
Here.
Dirk's here. Fleckner,
Here.
Roach.
Here.
Why am I, what is making me just,
Echo.
yeah,
I'm getting it too. I'm getting it too.
Me
Maybe
too.
because because we have so many on. I don't know.
okay,
I think it stopped.
okay. Yeah, mine did.
Mhm.
All right,
Here.
we're on Caroline Roach,
Here.
Secor. Didn't I see Glenn? Oh, there you are, Glenn. Teal
Here.
and Cook.
Here. Twice.
I'm here, Buffy.
Okay, yeah, Hazelton,
Here.
Karpinski,
Here.
Mahana,
Here.
Roberts.
Here.
Zegowitz.
Here.
Berlinski. Not here. Perkins,
Here.
Liedberg,
Here.
Rainville,
Here.
Monks.
Here.
Okay, Anzalone. Okay, yep,
Here, sorry, here.
yep, Sal,
Here.
Penta. Not here tonight.
Not here tonight.
Okay, Bono Bunker. Not here tonight. You
Here.
and Tucker.
He's here. His microphone doesn't work.
Okay, thank you. So do we have everyone that I think I saw? I think so. Okay, go ahead.
That right. First item is just approval of the minutes from the November 16th joint meeting. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Any comments or questions?
Can we get it seconded, please?
A
Second.
second.
Was that Nancy?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, ready to take a vote?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Okay, Claremont,
Aye.
Dirks, I, Fleckner,
Aye.
Roach,
Aye.
Secor,
Aye.
Teal,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Hazelton,
Aye.
and Karpinski was not there that night. So does he get put on?
I'll abstain.
Okay, abstain, okay. Mahana,
Aye.
Roberts,
Aye.
and Zegowitz, you were out that night too?
I think I
So,
was out the early part of that. Yeah,
okay, so how will you vote?
I will abstain also.
Okay. So let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 10, 0, 2.
Okay. Next item is concerns the wetlands flagging proposal to be submitted to the select board for contract approval. Someone want to talk on this?
Ellen, am I doing that?
Yes.
Okay. Our office sent out requests for proposals to the list of 7 civil engineers or seven firms, sorry, that the town recommended that they had worked with before, 7 different firms who could perform wetland flagging. Couple were too busy. They wrote back and said they were too busy to respond. A couple said that they were didn't even respond, even with follow-ups. We did get 2 proposals back. The prices are different. One is from Norse Engineering, the other one is from Hancock, and Hancock is at $2,200 and Norse is at $450. I believe the reason why they're so different is because Norse is the one who did the wetland flagging for us, whatever, 9 years ago. So they are more familiar with the site, and they would sort of be refreshing their wetland tagging versus their wetland mapping versus starting from scratch, if that makes sense. So I guess we're looking for permission to be able to forward this selection to the select board to approve to move this forward into the contract phase. And I guess I would ask for permission to proceed with Norse for $450 for the flagging.
Any questions or concerns? Oh, can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I have a second.
Second,
Okay, Glenn?
yes.
Okay, thank you. So here's the voting. Claremont,
Aye.
Dirks, I, Fleckner,
Aye.
Roach,
Aye.
Secor,
Aye.
Teal,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Hazelton,
Aye.
Karpinski,
Aye.
Mahana,
Aye.
Roberts.
Aye.
Zegowitz.
Aye.
So passed 12-0-0.
Thank you. Can I ask a question on the next warrant, which is approval of our invoice? We did receive a sort of, I'll say, late breaking received since this agenda was sent out for the additional services for the architects to perform additional surveying on the site, as it would be an additional service for them. And I'm wondering if, are we allowed to do that even though we're not specifically listed on this warrant?
No.
Okay.
So we'll need to get that on a posted meeting in the future.
Okay, all right, maybe we can have a quick meeting. Okay, so sorry, that was my question.
So the warrant that we do have on the agenda tonight is for November OPM services in the amount of $4,000 on warrant number 2425. And we need
Any
a
questions? All right, can I have a motion to approve the warrant for CHA Consulting, OPM?
So
I
moved.
make a motion to approve the CHH Consulting OPM invoice.
Okay, I'm sorry, who was that?
Mary Ann?
Oh, sorry, couldn't see you talking, Mary Ann.
That's okay.
I will second it. And here's the voting. Dirks, aye. Fleckner.
Aye.
Let me start with Claremont.
Okay, it's an aye.
Dirks, aye. Fleckner,
Aye.
Roach,
Aye.
Secor,
Aye.
Teal,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Hazelton. Scott. Scott, are you there?
Yeah, aye.
Okay, thank you. Karpinski,
Aye.
Mahana,
Aye.
Roberts,
Aye.
Zegowitz.
Aye.
So passed 12-0-0.
Next item is library project schedule review.
So this is a presentation from Feingold Alexander Architects.
Great.
And if Tony's allowed to share his screen. And
Yeah,
Ellen,
allowed, yeah.
yeah, Ellen, while he's doing that, I just wanted to give the group an update on what we've been doing in general.
Great.
So hi, everybody, nice to see everybody again. I don't know if we've met with this group, but nice to see you all. So we've been busy working. We've had our consultants visit the site. We also have had a couple of scans done to the project. We did what's called the Matterport scan. So that's an interior scan. It's essentially a photo scan of the space. And if you're familiar with any real estate websites, that's what they use to tour people through houses for sale. So we do that as part of our base fee. And what it does, it helps us to see that library in its entirety, and we share that with our consultants and whoever wants to see it. We also had a laser scan done of the interior and exterior, and what's being developed is a updated Revit model, which we will use at the start of DD. We have our own Revit model that we've been using since we started this project. But since we got the go-ahead to move forward, we had a professional laser scan done, so that we should be receiving that any day. So that's what we've been doing, really getting all our tools in a row. Tony?
So Ellen, do you want to just speak to overall schedule?
Sure, I will. Yeah. So that's our agenda for tonight, and we know we don't have a lot of time. So this is our overall project schedule. That black line, Tony, if you can point to it, that's where we are today. Everything to the left has been done, and everything to the right is coming up. As you can see here, we're almost wrapping up the schematic design phase. Then we'll go into the estimating phase, and then this series of different phases, design development, and then we'll get the project estimated again, and then the CD phase. And during that CD phase, we'll have our final estimate done. And then in October of this year, we will go out for bids. So it's a quick timeline, but we've got all our ducks in a row, and just continuing to make progress. Any questions on the schedule?
Is there a high degree of confidence at this point in the schedule, or is it still too
Yeah.
early?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. Yes, there is, Lynn. This is the schedule that we have working with Alicia. And yes, this is what we're shooting for, unless anything crazy changes or we have a big change in design, which I don't think we will. Yeah, we're pretty comfortable with this, and I know Ellen and Alicia are as well, because we've shared this with them.
And Andrew Bunker from the Board of Library Commissioners
Yes.
has expressed confidence in this timeline as
Yeah.
well.
Yep. Okay.
I had
Tony,
a
you-
question. I
Go
think there's
ahead.
a few more hands up. Two issues, questions I see. The cost estimating is really quick at 3 weeks.
Mhm.
It seems like that might be tough to get it done, and if anything has to be value engineered, then there's no time for that. And I'm also wondering, do we have two cost estimators? Is CHA doing a cost estimate and then Feingold's cost estimator?
Yep.
So is there time, in 3 weeks, there's no time for reconciliation of the two estimates?
That's a good point. We can add especially the first one, you're right. We should have it as 4 weeks, but in some cases we'll start our design development phase if the numbers are in line. So it doesn't hold the schedule up. But we can make an adjustment, but if folks don't want us to do that, we're flexible. But the remaining phases, the estimates are usually pretty quick because they're familiar with the project, and we can get the estimates in 2 weeks.
Wow, I wish my cost estimators could do that.
Well, it's not a huge project, but
there's a lot of
I don't know what
details. A lot of
Yeah,
details in
Alicia.
the renovation of it.
Yeah, I don't know, Alicia, if you are experienced different.
No, I agree with what you're saying, that maybe a little bit longer for the first one, and as they go on, they are sort of they're adding more detail to their estimate, but it's at the beginning it has less detail. I'll say there's a few more assumptions, and as the project gets better drawn, they're trading out assumptions with facts that they recognize in the drawings.
Mhm.
So but they have placeholders in there, and they're just going to go in and confirm their assumptions with facts. The further along we progress down the process down to the right. So the first cost estimate takes longer because they're sort of building it. And then after that, it's just updating, I'll say.
And but what I will do, because that's a really good question, I will reach out to them, our estimating group, and just confirm the dates.
Okay, and I think there should be some time built into after the DD phase for review, owner to review the documents. I think that when we did the building across the street, there was some concern that the project was like rolling from DD into CD without uh, really having the permanent town building committee review the actual documents rather than just PowerPoints, so that because we were able to find some questionable areas that were never discussed because a PowerPoint doesn't get into the nitty gritty of the building. So
So that's a great point. I would see that happening concurrent while it's out being estimated. Absolutely, we'll add in there that their drawing review time. That's an excellent point.
Is that enough time? That's a really good thing to have happen. Is 3 weeks enough time?
it is if we don't have to value engineer the project. Because we do have a hard, fast number
Yes.
cost.
we
And if
absolutely
the
do.
project is coming in high, the permanent town building committee is charged with making sure that it stays under budget.
Okay, based on that, we can add time if sometimes we'll work through the VE, but if folks would prefer us not to, we're flexible, we can do it either way. We can add, what would you suggest, a couple of weeks?
Yeah, I'd say 2 weeks.
Okay, so
fine.
we'll add that. We can add that.
And Tom, it's your call, not mine. So just throwing that out there.
No, I mean, you and Scott are our reps on this, so we'll go by you guys' recommendations. I think Scott's got his hand up too.
Yeah, we can add that. Scott.
Thank you.
No, I was just curious. I mean, we've got a budget that's already a year old from town meeting. So based upon your other projects over the past year, how is that estimate looking? Is it still looking pretty good, or are we getting concerned?
Oh, about what we're seeing for costs coming in? Is that what you're asking, Scott?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're seeing the escalation being less. So we are seeing that, and I can report. We have a library, Jones Library, going out in January, and I'll certainly happy to share that information when we get those bids back. But that's what we're being told is, and Alicia, I don't know what your estimators are saying, that the escalation is less, which is helping us quite a bit.
That's
I haven't
good.
spoken, yes, I can ask.
And I'll just remind everyone that the Board of Library Commissioners, for those of us who are the last libraries partaking in the construction project grant, did add a sixth payment of escalation costs. It's just under $830,000, but it does mean that there's additional funds beyond the original 7.8 million that was our original project grant.
Any other questions?
So the grant, was one more payment beyond the grant number. Is that what you're saying, Ellen?
Yes, so the grant number has increased to 8.6 million.
Okay,
because there was some legislative advocacy on behalf of communities who were struggling with their library project costs. And so the Board of Library Commissioners did go back and using their original formula, came up with a spreadsheet and was allowed to use funds in their capital account at this point to award us additional escalation funds. So we're now, we now have a higher grant amount than was voted on when the town voted this both last October and at the November ballot in 22.
Okay, thanks.
Any other schedule questions? And we'll add that the 2 weeks in there for our next meeting, and we will confirm with our estimator about the timing. Thank you. Tony, do you want to start on the next slide?
Sure. So what we're going to share with you is in progress where we are at the moment. So this first plan is a sort of initial civil layout, but we are in process of reviewing this and working with a landscape architect that we now have on board. So these plans that you're seeing here will revise, but this is sort of just a reminder of where we sort of were, and we're targeting in the low to 70 parking spaces range, and then adjusting the layout, the parking access and drop off. But this is just at the moment in progress, so I would not read too much into this yet at this point. And I guess a reminder, the main entrance that is being added to is coming back here from the sort of the west side, and the historic entrance still is off of Main Street here on the east. So I'm going to now lead you through a series of the floor plans. So starting at the ground floor, level 1, the plan view at page top here, this is coming from the parking lot side. And as we come in here, I'm just going to walk you through it. So we're primarily entering through here, through a vestibule, and then into a sort of common lobby break area here, which organizes the main arrival sequence into the library. To the left, when you enter, is the meeting room. And it will have the ability to have both direct access during the day and then off-hour access here at nighttime, which will allow us to control the ability to use the library and not have to open up the rest of the floor. As you continue to move forward here, in the center, organizing here is the primary circulation desk, and it's backed by circulation work areas and support. And the areas that are all in this zone over here are primarily back of house staff areas, support areas, receiving, etc., that basically processes through the collections. Directly behind or off the meeting space are things such as the Friends room here. There's meeting room storage for all the things and chairs and the like, and then there'll be a kitchenette, which is also located here, which is also accessible not only from the meeting room side, but from the public circulation corridor side. To the right, when you enter here, this entire purple area is the basically the children's area here, and this entire zone is dedicated for the children's library. Again, coming in from here is direct access off the main lobby area, leading in with a central control circulation area, managing everyone who comes into the children's area. And then it has support areas such as head offices, storage areas, family restrooms, study hours, program spaces, craft area, and the like. I will also caveat by saying that these layouts, while they're showing details, bookcases, and furniture, this is not going to be the end result. By the time we work through the design, a lot of this will modify as the layout begins to evolve, but for placeholding purposes and basically to make sure that we're meeting at least the requirements, this is just what we're showing here. The other areas that we're also seeing here, I'm going to point out, is that the area that's behind here, currently kind of where your existing support area, this is going to continue to remain as mechanical space, electrical, tel data. We have 2 staircases here and here, which are going to basically move all the way up through the building. And then a central, more public staircase is here off this sort of galleria with a new elevator shown here, which is going to connect all levels. So this really sort of represents the primary ground floor level. I'm happy to either answer questions or just keep going and come back to it. So I'll just keep going and then we can revisit as questions may arise. So when you come off the public lobby, coming up the public elevator or stair location here, on the second or primary level here, here's where we see the major portions of the collection. So again, this is the side that faces the parking lot. This is the side that is the Main Street entry. So what we have here in this sort of pink color, this is consists of basically the reference area, and off of that is the central self-checkout zone right here. Again, directly controlling access and visibility to the elevator, public stair. There are some support areas behind it, And then surrounding this sort of pink area here, this is quite open, a lot of loose seating, lounge furniture. Over to the right here, we have a series of study rooms, a series of smaller group study rooms, individual study rooms, and then a larger shared study area here. The opposite in this corner here, this is now the young adult section again, which has their own control area that is designated just for the young adult portion with the young adult office here. And then this area in sort of the darker purple basically represents the adult fiction, adult nonfiction, periodicals, media, and central sort of adult areas. I will point out a couple of things here. So the Main Street entrance here that you currently have will continue to operate here. And you can come in from the library this way as well as from the parking lot here. The area that I'm just sort of outlining in red here, this represents actually a floor level that is 1 feet lower than this portion. And the reason that's the case is that we want to actually increase the ceiling height underneath this area, particularly relating to like the meeting spaces below here, the children's library here, and then the general circulation arrival here. So there is a level shift here. And the other thing I'm going to point out here, this dashed line right here is sort of splitting where the existing library is and then the new library addition here. So that is in operation throughout the plan. And this is how this is organized with respect to the primary second level, which is, of course, your main level when you come in off Main Street, for those who, just to reorient you. Again, elevators here, public stair here, and additional egress stairs here and here. As you get up to the third level, again, continuing up that public stair here and elevator here, we now come to essentially really the staff areas as well as the Mary Atwood Local History Room. So coming off of here, this area in pink, that is your historic Atwood meeting space, which will also function as your local history room here. Directly off this lobby area here, we have a couple of things also going on. We have a sort of meeting conference room here. This is largely the staff areas such as the library director, the business office, administration, finance, assistant director, and also an additional meeting space here. The other support areas that occur directly to the left of the Mary Atwood room is the staff break areas, which consists of locker area, staff break room. There is going to be a staff toilet located here. And then head of systems office, server rooms, storage, and other support spaces occur here. Again, primary public area stair here, the two egress stairs here, and the elevator here. So I can move on to the elevations unless there are questions relating to the plans. And again, the subdivision of the addition shows here, which is this area north of this line is the addition, and this area is existing. But of course, in the existing, there's extensive renovation being undertaken throughout the library.
Tony, I think you got a couple of hands up.
Sure. Okay. Jean?
Yes, thank you. A couple questions. Well, actually, one question. Restrooms. I know you have, I'm sure you've have it meeting building code, the number of restrooms in the building, but I'm thinking about the function of the second and third floor. Second floor has a lot of children and young adults, and there's only 2 bathrooms on that whole floor, and they're kind of hidden down a hallway. And I just wonder if it would be more practical to have have more restrooms for that floor and and a little bit more visible so that students don't act up. And I think it's a question for Ellen about how the kids interact and would be interacting in such a large space with hidden bathrooms. And then the third floor has one toilet room. And if Ellen is entertaining people in the Mary Atwood room, there's a staff toilet, but there's only one toilet down a long hallway for anyone up there. So it's kind of a question for Ellen and for the architect.
So
Well,
I appreciate those concerns, Jean. We are, for the first time, we have a toilet on every level in this design. And for the first time on the ground level, we have a family toilet, which means a double stroller, a toddler, and a parent can all get in the toilet together. We have a single onesie toilet we understand the code now. There has to be an adult size changing table. So, you know, control is something we're concerned about, but the placement of the bathrooms on the first floor, the reference floor, is, you know, above all of the other plumbing. And, you know, we think that largely the staff, that this actually is reference and reader's advisory on this level as opposed to circulation. So the staff is going to be out working with the public in the open area. I do think when we get up to the third floor, for the first time, we might have to offer a key to any group that has reserved either the trustee room, the conference room, or the Mary Atwood room. That particular toilet, I think, you know, is going to be a key that has to be handed over, you know, when someone comes in and has a room reservation and when the group adjourns and leaves. So that's new for us and that's not popular, but I think that's going to be necessary on that floor.
So on that floor, we have two. We have one that's staff and one that's for guests. But Jean, we'll, you know, as you know, when we go through this, we'll recalculate again, but we are meeting the code now. But we'll look at that. I mean, that's a good comment, especially on the second floor, because there's a volume of people up there that some may not be able to get downstairs quick enough to use the restroom. So we'll look at that. That's a good call.
You know,
Okay,
at the moment, we don't have a restroom on the second or the third floor. And well, we have a very tiny restroom in children's that you can't get a stroller into. So, you know, what happens now is all the public is forced to go downstairs to the restrooms in the basement level. And after 5 o'clock, there's no staff down in that level monitoring those restrooms. So actually, this is an improvement over what we are
but
dealing with
it's a
now.
it's a 50-year building, so we don't want a
Right.
little improvement. We want a major improvement. Thank you.
We'll take a look. We'll take a look.
Hey, Marianne, you have your hand up.
Thank you so much. I'll proceed my question with, please forgive my ignorance. And the reason why this recently came up is I was just working on another project for something else. So the question is that with the open atrium from the ground to the third floor, two questions. Do we lose the ability to have more floor space? And two, maybe more importantly, do we lose from a sustainability standpoint is it more difficult to heat and air condition the space that's open from the ground to the third floor?
So thank you. That's a great question. So the open area which is being asked about is here, and this is actually a two floor, not three. It basically opens from ground, which is, you can see dashed here, to second. Above this is not a I know it's cross hatched here. This is actually a clear story. So this is not actually a hole in the floor. This is all roof area here. To answer your question about floor area usage, there are a couple of things that are important considerations. One of them is that the ability in the library to have kind of visibility, and that includes the fact that the large part of the library program is on this level. Ground floor has a lot of use too, but to be able to see, you know, what's going on in the library one level up, I think is an important consideration. The other thing that actually we were conscious of thinking about is, you know, we'll get to the elevations in a minute. We have a fair amount of glazing here along this north wall. We felt it's important to actually take advantage of the light well, as it were, to bring daylight in. So it not only provides light into this level, but also facilitates bringing more light down here, because you can see here, we're more kind of constrained, right? We have this area that is public in nature, but then is immediately bounded by meeting room, children's library. So we actually want to increase the amount of light coming down to this level, as well as just the fact that when you're here, you can actually discern that there's something, a big part of the library upstairs. So I think from a sustainability standpoint, we're very cognizant it's a really key part of this library design that we are doing everything we can to achieve, you know, the highest level of sustainability that we can aim for. But I think for those reasons alone, we feel that this attribute is kind of an important, both from a sustainable, but also from the fact of the library, how space are used and actually how they will feel.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
Marianne, from a mechanical heating and cooling perspective, I don't think it has a huge impact, but I will check for you.
Thank
That's a
you.
really good question.
I see Nancy, you have your hand raised.
Thanks. I'm pretending to be Nancy.
Oh, sorry.
I'm Tom. So two questions that are kind of related, going back to the site plan and then also on the first floor. So, regarding that large meeting room, what drove the decision to size it for 130 people? And my second question is relating to parking. So on that plan, that site plan, you showed that you're only adding another 13 spaces, from what they have now, correct?
Right. So
That's correct.
I'll just answer your questions a little bit if I can in reverse. So actually, one of the things that we're looking at here is we recognize there are certain limitations in your site. We're balancing the need for achieving more vehicular parking because the library is expanding, offsetting against the fact that we also feel it's important to create sort of outdoor green zone around the library. You don't want it to feel like it's in a sea of parking. So we're actually, as I said, we're not able to share it tonight because we're still just in the early stages developing conceptual framework and thinking about the site, but there are some interesting ideas that are beginning to emerge from the landscape perspective, which we'll be happy to share with you at the next meeting. So that's in answer to one question. With respect to the capacity, I think this I'll defer to Ellen, but the program for 130 capacity in the meeting space was driven by program review and objectives, and also review with MBLC as well. But I don't know, Ellen, do you want to add anything about that?
Yes, well, our current reading room has seating for 75, and we occasionally have more when we have children sitting on the floor. During COVID, we had them sit in hula hoops 6 feet apart that we had taken to the floor. But this is what would typically be our largest capacity audience. Very occasionally, we've had more than that at a Mother Goose time, but we felt this was a realistic high number, Tom, and we don't really see that many more. We have Toastmasters, we have the photography club, the mineralogical club, we have AA. Pre-COVID, we averaged 2,200 meeting room uses a year, but this should be ample for most of the capacity for those. And I just wanted to say that as a sidebar, I am working with our building consultant from the Board of Library Commissioners, while Feingold Alexander has been doing measuring and counting. I've been working on counting collections, genres, formats, and identifying trends and items, that are not getting the use that they got when we originally wrote the building program in 2015. So that's another reason you'll see some changes to stacks and maybe computers and tables that are being shown in these plans now.
As a follow-up, for example, one of the things that we've definitely been hearing much more about in our own direct experience with other libraries, the need for meeting spaces is absolutely increasing. So this introduction of additional meeting spaces shown here is of a greater count than previously shown. It is directly reflecting, as Ellen said, the changing dynamics of how libraries are being used, particularly post-COVID. A lot of things have changed in the way that the libraries are adapting, and they're still going to adapt, of course, in the future. So we want to make sure we have flexibility built in, but also reflect the changing nature of libraries themselves.
Okay, thank you. I mean, I'll just, we have been working on the building across the street that failed at town meeting, at 51 Main Street, and which had a large meeting room. Parking becomes the driver on all of these projects, particularly in the center. So, I mean, if it's the intent to be able to, have all the parking for this facility on site, and where I should say, I guess I'm assuming that that's what the intent is, correct? That all of the required parking for this building will try to be provided on site.
Yes.
And
Okay.
we need to understand that the use, if we have, if we have a magician as our special performer, what's likely is that a caregiver and 1 to 2 children will come in the same vehicle. So unlike a government or a board meeting, we're more likely to have multiple attendees come in the same car. But I do appreciate what you're saying, Tom, because we know parking is a big issue.
Well, yeah, and I'll just give you an example, and I don't want to beat this thing to death here, because we both have to get to other meetings. But, one of the ways that we looked at, the building proposed for 51 Main, which had a 100 person meeting, was that the majority of those meetings that would hold a large event meeting would be held at night when the rest of the building and town hall would be essentially vacant. But you could easily have a scenario here at the library, say like a Toastmasters club meeting at night, and you've got a full library. So I'm just, I'm not saying all this to criticize the plan up to this point, but these are just some of the questions and the comments that I can anticipate this, this project or the site, during site plan review, getting that critique from planning board.
No, and we're creating more spaces for people to meet in. So you're absolutely right. We could have students and we could have 3 or 4 meeting rooms with meetings in them. But I think we're also having 80 more parking spots put across the street between Town Hall and Rodenbush. So, hopefully those are meant to be used by facilities around the common.
We'll also point out just on this plan here. So after hours use, and those are great questions, Tom. When you come into the meeting space here, this is going to have a security gate right here. So effectively, the rest of the library, except for the meeting space and the public toilets, that's the only area that will be accessible after hours. So that is one form of control. But it's always a balancing act between the desire, the needs, and actually what you have. Because as we know, we also don't have unlimited. We'd love to say we have unlimited real estate, but we don't. So we're doing the best we can to work within the parameters that we have from your side and from your library. Caroline, I see you have sorry.
Just on that last comment, just remember the library is open in the evening. So after hour, there really is no after hours. The library will be open in the evening. So those gates would be used like after 9 o'clock at night.
Thank you. Caroline?
Hi, just 2 comments. I wanted to echo what Tom was saying about parking. I mean, I know it's a very limited space. I've been to a lot of events with my kids where I see people drive away because there's just no parking. And I think, especially in Westford, it'd be nice if people could walk or have other methods of transportation, but realistically, people drive. So I think, like somebody else was saying, this is a long-term project. Let's see what we can do to kind of maximize it. And I also wanted to say, same token, on the first family bathroom on the first floor is wonderful. I can't tell you how many times a double stroller, a parent and a toddler, I couldn't even fit in the bathroom with my toddler. So that is a huge improvement, and I'm sure it will be much appreciated.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments on the plans? Okay. Please, and if I can always come back, I'll just continue because I know we have a limited amount of time with you folks. So just
And Tony, if I could just say one thing, because we had that slide at the end that we wanted to be sure we had a few minutes to talk to. Okay, just about the chapter 149A. Okay.
This won't take very long. So I'm just going to just simply show you, these are the building elevations that one sees when drawn, head on. So this is the current Main Street elevation, and it looks essentially very similar to what you have. There are going to be some adjustments in areas here and here, and including some portions of just a little bit visibility of the addition, but we will get to this much later on in the design. This is really early stage, but this represents your current Main Street view. On the east elevation, again, Main Street is here on the left, just by orientation. So again, this dash line that I represented before in your plan, this side is existing, this side is the addition. So just again, as a reminder, this extends the volume of those wings that occur on the sides of the library And then it just shows, again, that very, very early stage, just the nature of the design and window pattern making, but this is really early. So this will continue to evolve. On the primary north elevation coming from the parking lot side, this is what we are currently seeing now. And we're working again carefully in terms of the amount of other considerations that we're all looking across the whole project from a sustainability standpoint is the amount of glazing to wall ratio across the entire building. So we're carefully calibrating that to make sure that we provide sufficient light for the library, but also not exceed from a sustainability standpoint and energy use standpoint what we need to create. So again, these are early stages, but just as a reminder, this portion represents the wings. This is the entrance, and then this is the area which is the more open glaze portion of the second level adult and reading areas. And then the office is way back in the distance here. And then as you come to the west elevation, again, very similar to the other side, this portion to the right of the dash line is the existing, and to the left is the addition. Again, it just simply extends forward the elevation and massing of your existing wings forward as we go into the new design. And again, all of the window pattern is still in an evolving stage. So this represents currently at the schematic developing level, the elevational designs. Any comments, questions? James.
Could you point out the clear story to me?
Sure. It's very hard to read because it's elevation. Do you see these three sort of lines here?
Yes.
That's the clear story, which is, again, it's set back,
Okay.
but that's the area that opens to the double height space, which is basically contained in here below.
Very good. Thank you.
It's an elevation. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing that develop. That looks cool.
Yeah, no, us too. Thank you. Any other questions or comments if we move on to the last piece? Okay. I think the next piece is this part, and I think Helen, are you going to speak to this? Okay.
Yeah, and Alicia, do you? I mean, we
Alicia.
put this. No, Alicia, you certainly chime in. I'll just give you a little background. We've had this conversation a number of times with different groups. So we have this comparison of Chapter 149A, which is the CM at risk path, or the design bid bill, the Chapter 149 straight.
I'll just say quickly that Kristen Lass had asked us to discuss this with this decision-making body, and we're this is just an overview tonight, but this is in response to her request. So sorry, Ellen, go on.
No, that's fine, and we can send this out to folks because I'll run through this, right? But it's a lot to absorb, and we're happy to talk about it at our next meeting. But big picture is that if we were to go the Chapter 149A, CM at risk, we have to shortly start the process of getting sending out RFPs for construction manager and then selecting the construction manager. So just that's a heads up. So I'll just go through this. So Chapter 149A is relatively new to the public bid process in Massachusetts. I want to say relatively new, maybe 15 years. But it has its benefits, and actually we've done a number of large courthouses with this process. I did a smaller project in Boston with this, and it was fabulous. So Chapter 149A is that you get a construction manager, the group that's going to oversee and do the construction during just before design development starts. So that's our next phase after we do our SD estimate. So the benefit of that is it's the opportunity to build relationships with the construction manager during pre-construction. And building relationships goes a long way to getting a team atmosphere to build your building, because that's what you want. You want everybody to be on the same page, and that gives you the opportunity to do that because you grow in the process together. And the construction manager will provide cost estimating and constructability reviews during the design process. That's always helpful. They will the construction the CM at risk process will attract a higher quality subcontractors. So the chapter 149, it's the lowest, essentially the lowest bid gets the job. So you don't always get top-notch subcontractors. The 149A has fast track capabilities, help to shorten the schedule, which and then in the long run saves your money on general conditions. Project costs based on guaranteed maximum price. So when we get to the guaranteed maximum price, hopefully at the end of DD, that's the price of the project. So you know that up front. You don't have to wait till the day it goes out and gets bid. And then there is an upfront premium for CMET risk. And I don't know if you have a sense of that, Alicia.
I talked to a couple people in our office about what they've seen and what they estimate. And it's ballpark would be 4% of the construction cost. And based on our, more or less, there's no hard and fast rules on this. The upshot is that, in my opinion, these guys, if we went with the CM at risk, they become more true partners in the process, which is all good. And they engage during the design process, but they need to be paid for that service. And basically at 4%, we're looking at, and it would be an additional service for CHA and an additional service for the designers, because it is a process. It's a whole process to select them, to bring them on board. As a 4% of our construction plus the additional fees, we're again adding in the ballpark of $1 million added to this project, which is currently not in the budget.
Right.
That said, one of the things, and then I don't, design, bid, build, Ellen, just if you want to go through that, or it's just, I'll say that's just the more traditional public process of construction.
Right. So I've done many libraries this way. And it's just, we finished during the design SD, design development and CDs, we don't have the ability to reach out to a contractor and ask, hey, is this a sequence you would do it, or is this how you would detail this? And there's nobody we can reach out to. So that's one of the drawbacks. So it's based on the lowest qualified bid. I should say it's the lowest qualified bid. So you don't really control who it is that will get the project. And they join at the end of the CD bidding phase. So there's no opportunity for the building relationships. The GC does not typically provide estimating and constructability reviews in the design process because they're not involved at that point. And they tend to be lower caliber in many cases. There's a lot of
different group. It's a different group that would follow a design, bid, build versus the CM. They're different
calibers.
Caliber,
yes.
It's just a different group of contractors that will attract the different kinds of bidding. And I'll just say, when you do a CM at risk, one of the process we have to go through, we will solicit our proposals from various groups, but you ultimately get to interview who you would like to be your CM, what company you feel responded to you in the proposals, but also you interview them so you get to see who you resonate with and who you want to spend the next, year and a half, 2 years working with. You get to choose that person versus design, bid, build. You need to go with the lowest responsible bidder. So it's slightly different. Both will build the building. It's not necessarily a product issue. It's more of a process issue. You'll get a wonderful library either way, but it's that you have to pay more for the CM at risk. However, the thought is that you'll have less change orders because they've been in the process all along, familiar with the drawing, have advised, been reviewing the drawings, checking for maybe missing information or things like that can help. So the idea is you pay them, but you would have fewer change orders.
Right.
So it's
and there's no upfront premium with the design, bid, build, and it's a different group. That's a good way to put it. And I've done a lot of it, and I can tell you it's a lot of war stories because some of the contractors go in there knowing lowball it just to get the job, and then they make the money back with change orders. And I can tell you, for example, we're in the middle of just finishing up the CDs for Jones Library in Amherst, and they should have went Chapter 149A because that is just so complicated. It would have been great to be able to establish a relationship and get some constructability feedback from the contractor because we have a lot of challenges there. But we can continue this conversation. We'll send you this slide. And there's probably a few other links we can send to you guys if you're interested, if you want to learn more. But we just wanted to introduce this to you as an idea. But as I mentioned, starting out, if we are to go Chapter 149, that's something that we should think about very soon.
I'm going to take questions from Tom and then James. Tom?
Oh, okay, thank you. So I know I made this comment before when we first discussed this as a group, and I see here that, you put in the slide about it, you usually bring the CM on, during the design development. But I mean, realistically, and based on what I was kind of hearing you talk earlier about schedule and budget, I mean, if we wanted to truly consider, this as a CM at risk project, I mean, this really should have been brought up a long time ago, right?
Oh, I will just probably, but this was in response to Kristen's request.
No, I understand. No,
Yeah.
I understand that, Alicia. And again, I'm not trying to
No,
criticize anybody. I'm just saying that, I mean, in reality, I mean, because, it wasn't budgeted for, and, and just from a timing standpoint, it just seems, and I think I even used the comment that, I felt like, the ship has sailed. But it sounds like it really hasn't. But
no.
And I guess my other question too, again, excuse me for my limited knowledge on CM at risk, but you were comparing like with change orders on traditional 149 projects, but on like a value engineering, any like sort of credit, is there a cost, a sharing of those, any savings in that relationship? Is that like a 50-50 split on like any savings or credits that the contractor might provide on that?
Alicia, I don't know. I think you structure it how you want it to be.
Okay.
Alicia, do you have any thought on that?
It's how you set it up. There's a contingency, like any project, we still need to have a contingency. And then some of the contingency, most of the contingency, the contractor just doesn't get to take money out of the bucket whenever he wants, still has to ask. And if the end of the day, if there's money left, I'll say left over in the contingency, I think it can be part of the contract about how that gets distributed, because you want some motivation to be able to encourage them to minimize the number of change orders, things like that. But I guess my comment is, Tom, I don't think the ship has sailed. I guess without answering the questions, I guess I was going to ask the first step in the process is we would have to apply to the IG's office. That's the first thing you have to do. They have to grant us permission to do this. It's a fairly silly, it's a couple page application, not a big deal. But I would ask tonight for permission to start that application, because according to the IG's website, it could take up to 60 days. Recently for our office has not been taking that long, but I would like to start that process. And then when we hear back, we can then send out the request for proposals. It's not a commitment to do it that way, but I want to be able to start that process. But I'll circle back to that. So just in an effort to get this start the process, but without a commitment. So,
and one thing, if I could add, in the perfect world, we get them on early, right? But
yep.
I can tell you most projects, it isn't. They usually come on sometime during DD.
Yeah,
we like it at the beginning if we can, but if not, it can be more towards the middle. So know that the ship hasn't sailed.
Okay.
I'm going to go down on my screen. The next would be James.
Okay, can you hear me? I can't see if my I guess I just had the same kind of questions as far as timing goes, and what does this process avail us with in terms of trying to keep the numbers down early and sort of performing the VE as we go. It seemed like there'd be a good opportunity for that, and
Absolutely.
I would also I really like the idea of coming in with the GMAX at the end and not everybody standing around with their fingers crossed hoping we're going to get the number in under budget. I think it's sounds great. And last, as everybody else or a lot of others were mentioning, is it sounds like it just seems like a much more welcome idea to get a bunch of contractors that have subs that we all that they're comfortable with and have proven track records.
Well, we
it
still
just-
have to follow filed sub bid rules, but we work with them. We get to descope them, make sure they have it, things like that during the process. There are still filed sub bid laws we have to follow. But the idea also with the contractor on board, the value engineering, they're keeping an eye, they're at the table with us. So if they see something, they're going to say something about in terms of the budget and anything they see coming over. So it's not, value engineering is kind of an ongoing thing. They're not going to, yes, there
Yeah.
will be a discussion at the end of the phase, but I would absolutely expect them to speak up during the, while things are passing in front of them, right?
Sounds great to me.
Marianne?
So my question is similar to Tom's, is that you had mentioned that you've done projects both 149A and 149. Is
Yes.
it possible, without spending so much time, not tonight, but at a future meeting, so we make a decision, that these are two projects that were very similar in nature? This is a 149A, this is a 149. Taking that ROI into perspective, is that with the CMR at risk, we ended up only having 2 change orders that cost X amount of dollars. But with the DBB, we ended up having 11 change orders that ended up costing more. So from that standpoint, is that
We can
Is
try
it-
that, but I will honestly tell you that it's no two projects are the same.
yeah,
So it's a little bit tough to do that kind of comparison, but we can try
Mhm.
to share things that we feel were earned or saved by having a 149A person at the table. Like what were some examples of things that they caught or things like that?
right, yeah. And yeah, I totally hear you and agree. Every project is its own project.
Yeah.
But it would be good to know, like, okay, if we're investing $1 million, what is the
Yeah.
payoff here? What is
Right,
our
but
return on investment?
Right, and to be clear, it doesn't mean we won't have change orders, right?
Yeah, yeah.
There will still be change orders. The idea is that there'll be fewer.
Catching them earlier on and
Yeah.
possibly, hopefully cost less.
Correct, and the earlier you catch anything, the more cost effective it is. Lynn, you have your hand up?
Just want to clarify, you mentioned that the cost of going with a manager at large is about $1 million, which is money that we don't have in the project. Is that a true statement? We just don't have the money?
It was not identified in the project, right? When the budget was built over a year and a half ago, there was no discussion of 149 of construction manager at risk. So it was not included in the budget. So it would be $1 million additional, $1 million that has not been, that is not in the budget. That is correct.
Does that mean we have to raise an additional $1 million?
Where that money comes from, I would look to the others on this. I don't
Okay.
determine where the money comes
Yeah,
from.
I got it. Thank you.
Yep, sure. But I guess all these are excellent questions. I guess I'm just asking for permission to file the application with the IG so that we start that 60-day clock. Again, they are reserving the right to 60 days. I don't think it'll take that long, but again, you never know how many applications are put in front of them at any one time. This is not a commitment at this time. It's just we're just trying to start that clock. And so I would suggest that I can share some information from the IG's website about 149 that you all can look over. They have a lot of information. I can send that out to help you understand. And we can review this again probably in the new year. And at that point, we'd have to make a decision. Because once we get permission to proceed, we have to submit the proposal to go out to, you broadcast it out to the world to ask for we have to pre-qualify and up to the construction managers. And I looked at one that was recently sent out of our office. It was 28 pages of very fussy information. So it's a lot to pull together to ask them to respond to. So we would want to be able to obviously do that quickly. So
First filing, how much does that cost?
I don't believe there's a cost associated, but that is an excellent question.
Okay.
And if I could just say one more thing, and I forgot to mention this on the under 149A, the construction manager takes greater resources to manage transparency, quality, safety, and financial controls, and better overall accountability. So we're going to see that it's essentially we can see the costs. With the 149, you don't. All of that does not have to be shared with us, and that's one of the difficult parts when you get to the change order process.
That's true. So do I need can someone advise, do I need a vote to start that IG
I would say,
application?
yeah, I would say, yeah. We should make a
Again,
motion
It's
and vote.
not a commitment, it's just submitting the application, but to do that, I would also need the only thing I would need is to know who the awarding authority person in charge of the project would be. Would that be Kristen Lass, or would that be Ellen, or who's the appropriate person who would be?
Probably the select board. I think the select board, Alicia.
Okay.
They signed the original contract.
Oh, fair enough.
Well, Kristen signs it on their behalf.
Okay, because there's some things in here that we would
It's the
I
vote
just need to
passes,
know
we'll
who I'm
figure
sort of
that out.
working with. I'll be working with Ellen to start this first thing, and she'll help me with who to direct on this stuff. But okay.
Can I just ask a quick question before we take the vote? I wasn't sure if I heard this or not. But the Board of Library Commissioners allows these projects to go as seem at risk?
Yes.
So there is precedent?
Yes, the Shrewsbury Library did this, which is one reason Kristen is.
Oh, that's
with
right.
it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, can, are there any more hands up?
I don't see any.
Okay, can we, then someone make a motion to allow Alicia to do the initial filing?
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, here's the voting. Claremont,
Aye.
Dirks, I, Fleckner,
Aye.
Roach,
Aye.
Secor,
Aye.
Teal,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Hazelton,
Aye.
Karpinski,
Aye.
Mahana,
Aye.
Roberts,
Aye.
Zegowitz.
Aye.
So passed 12-0.
Okay, I'll get working on that.
Maybe, Alicia, you'd like to share the budget slide?
I will be delighted to. I just have to find
And
it.
I can share that basically the budget so far has been spent on legal ads and OPM costs. When you look at the monthly reports to the state Amplifund website, it's going to show those costs as well as early expenditures the town made in FY22 in order to get cost estimates. So far, we only have spent monthly costs on OPM services and legal ads, and probably starting this next month as we prepare the Amplifund reports for the state software that the Board of Library Commissioners is using, we'll start to see eligible costs for grant reimbursement and larger costs because we haven't yet paid Feingold Alexander for their services to date. So at this point, the original $1,570,399, the first disbursement from the grant, is what all of the expenditures so far have been paid out of. And per the grant agreement, that money is in a separate account and is earning interest. And that will be subsidizing the project until we get closer to the contract document stage and are eligible for a second disbursement for the Board of Library Commissioners.
The MBLC is very specific about when they will hand out their money. It's more or less once a year. It's a more or less. We get it in 5 chunks, more or less.
And the last escalation cost is the 6th chunk. That's
right. Sorry. Yes, that's bonus. That's outside the usual.
So you'll see more activity. At this point, there are only a couple of things in the expenditure column, but you'll see more activity going forward.
Total of 31,000. So I'm down there, but here we are on the budget.
Right.
Okay. So we need to vote to accept this report, correct?
Yes, if you'd accept both the budget report and then the Amplifund reports, you'll start to get those on a monthly basis. They won't be bunched up like this.
Yeah.
I make a motion to accept the project management report and the Amplifund report.
Thank you.
I'll second.
I'm sorry, who was that seconded?
Caroline.
Okay, thank you, Caroline.
Welcome.
Okay, here's the voting. Claremont,
Aye.
Dirks, aye. Fleckner,
Aye.
Roach,
Aye.
Secor, Teal.
Aye.
Aye, Buffy.
Okay, now I hear you. I saw you nod your head. Cook,
Aye.
Hazelton,
Aye.
Karpinski,
Aye.
Mahana,
Aye.
Roberts,
Aye.
Zegowitz.
Aye.
Pass 12-0-0.
And if you'll just accept the working group notes and also notes from all of my conversations with the Board of Library Commissioners consultant, then that concludes the business unless someone has other things, and we can adjourn to the separate meetings.
We care about minor, there was one report, I think it was between Ellen and just Ellen. The date on it says 6/27/2023. I think maybe you meant 11.
No, 6.
It wasn't sick, June? Okay, good.
Those were sequential, right? All those notes, I think, were sequential.
Most of them were, most were sequential. There might have been an internal review that was out of order because that was not a report. That was a report from an initial review with town department heads.
Great.
Lynn, Beth has her hand up.
Okay.
My unmuted, yeah. I'm asking about the schedule, and I'm sorry if I missed this online, but the schedule for the follow-up for the sustainability charrette. And then part 2 of that question would be, I'm sure when we have that follow-up and we look at it as a working group, and we will need to make a recommendation that would then come back to this group, the deciders. And I'm wondering when we project those decisions would need to be made.
Excellent question. The design team needs to finish their schematic design. They're going to send off their drawings in multiple directions for review, for cost estimate. It's going to go to the MBLC. It's going to go to Mass Save and different things. And that's going to take, 2-3 weeks. Then we're going to have a series of meetings to review those SG drawings, follow-up meetings with the cost estimators to see if we need to do value engineering with Mass Save to see how we're doing on, they're going to give we're also going to, part of the cost estimate is going to look at options for mechanical systems in the buildings and things like that. After we have all these follow-ups and facts, we will return to this group to say, this is what we've learned from the SD phase. And we're going to need input on the following things. And one of the things is going to be the second half of the sustainability effort, which is we're going to have options on the cost of the mechanical systems that we'll have good cost estimates from, and we'll be able to know more specifically from Mass Save what kind of rebate we should anticipate on those systems. So we'll have better informed numbers that we can present and understand which system, and we'll present the pros and cons of each of the systems so everybody understands. And that's going to basically be the second phase, because that's a pretty big decision, and we're trying to, part of the SD effort is to gather enough information and facts so decisions can be made. Does that make sense? Okay, so probably once the SD drawings are submitted, I'll start trying to schedule those meetings to get them on everybody's books so we can at least hold dates and understand, but there's going to be a lot of conversations that will result from the result of the cost estimate and all that information and the drawing reviews and things like that.
And I just need to report the Community Preservation Committee is meeting tomorrow night. One of the items in the working group, or my notes from meeting reports, there will be the potential, it would be a year from now, an application to the Community Preservation Committee under the historic reconstruction and restoration aspect of their dealings. They can spend money on 4 things. I think everyone here knows that. So there is that potential that we would be able to get funding for anything done in the original historic 1895 building, including the elevator that's going in, any HVAC that goes in. But tomorrow when I go to the meeting, I will just be indicating that they wouldn't hear from us until FY25, because we simply just don't have costs at this point.
Okay, well, I personally just want to thank the working group for it's a ton of work based on your notes. And do we need to vote to accept the notes? Is that what it is?
I think that would be nice if you'll just accept the notes.
Okay. Can I have a motion to accept the notes from the working group?
Are you talking about all the notes that was submitted in the packet, or just the working group? I mean, because you're asking us to approve.
That's a good question, because
I mean, we haven't been part of some of these meetings.
No, but some of these are conversations that I've had with the building consultant from the Board of Library Commissioners, but the MBLC is a partner in this. I mean, we don't have to set the precedent of having you accept these, but this is a record of either conversations, of phone direction from the Board of Library Commissioners, or working group meetings and notes.
But I think what he's saying is we're accepting notes when we weren't at the meeting.
Right.
Is that okay? Is that okay to do?
Well, yeah, and is it even necessary?
I would defer to the past practice from the Permanent Town Building Committee. And they're advisory.
We've not done that in the past.
Okay.
Then consider them advisory so that you're brought up to date.
Okay. Anything else, or we can adjourn? Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Lynn.
Thank you.
And here's the voting. Claremont,
Aye.
Dirks, aye. Fleckner,
Aye.
Roach,
Aye.
Secor,
Aye.
Teal,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Hazelton,
Aye.
Karpinski,
Aye.
Mahana,
Aye.
Roberts,
Aye.
Zegowitz.
Aye.
So it passed 12-0-0.
So I'll just remind everyone, we'll stop the recording, which will make a separate recording for the